He's already won it 3 times. He's already conquered multiple races, including the Giro d'Italia, and wearing the rainbow jersey. And he's shown this year that he can master the cobblestones, gravel, the Ardennes, and even the Alps. So why does it feel like Tadej Pogacar is just getting started? Because in 2025, he hasn't just come back to defend his Tour de France title from last year. He's back to destroy any lingering doubt, silence any critic, and stamp his authority on an era that once looked like it might slip away from his grasp. This isn't just a story of a young champion trying to rise. This is the story of a champion who already rose, fell, and is now rising again, stronger, smarter, more terrifying than ever. And if his season so far is any indication, the rest of the peloton should be very, very worried. They thought they had figured Pogacar out. After back-to-back Tour de France victories in 2020 and 2021, Tadej Pogacar was supposed to dominate for a decade, but cycling is cruel, ruthless in exposing weaknesses, and in 2022 and 2023, Jonas Vingegaard did just that with the help of his team. He cracked the invincible smile and proved that even Pogacar could bleed. For 2 summers, the yellow jersey was out of reach when it came to Paris for Tadej Pogacar. The narrative shifted. Perhaps Pogacar was too impulsive, too aggressive, didn't know how to fight against a stronger team. Perhaps his best was behind him, was what people were already saying. Then came 2024, after a bold and controversial announcement that he was going to attempt the Giro Tour double. He won the Giro with flair and taking many stages along the way in a very dominant fashion, and then he returned to the Tour de France, here equally dominant, if not more so, winning 6 stages along the way. It wasn't just a redemption arc, it was a resurrection. The doubters fell silent. The throne was his again, but for Pogacar, reclaiming the throne wasn't enough. He even hinted at the winning podium that he would be going for the World Championship title as well. And he did just that in Zurich, winning after a thunderous 100-kilometer attack. And in 2025, he isn't defending a title, he's hunting for more legacy. From the first pedal strokes of the new season, it has been clear that something is different, not just and donning that World Champions jersey, maybe that has incentivized him a bit more. There's a focus in his eyes, a sharpness to his tactics. He began the year with a clinical win at the UAE Tour, cool, controlled, untouchable on the climbs, and then followed up at Strade Bianche, where he didn't attack as far out as he did the year before. Chaos did strike him as he crashed mid-race, but he remounted, chased down Tom Pidcock like a man possessed, and managed to drop the Yorkshireman and soloed to the finish. It was a moment that told the world just how strong he actually was. Milan-San Remo brought more fire. He launched an audacious attack on the Cipressa, something few dare even attempt, and only Mathieu van der Poel had the legs to follow. Though victory slipped through his fingers, a podium against some of the world's best riders only confirmed the danger he possessed. It was a warning, he was just warming up. At the Tour of Flanders, Pogacar silenced even his boldest critics. With all eyes on Van der Poel, the defending champion, it was Pogacar who dictated the terms. He rode away from everyone and sealed his 2nd title with authority and proved once more he's not just a climber, he's a master of all terrain. That was really challenged at his first Paris-Roubaix that he had hinted that he might try. It was his debut here in the Hell of the North, where experience counts more than form, but Pogacar was fearless. He danced across the cobbles like a veteran, stayed with every selection, and even a crash and mechanical couldn't derail him. Despite the win slipping away, he still finished an impressive 2nd place in only his 1st attempt against the best in the world, Mathieu van der Poel. It was less about the result and more about the revelation that there were simply no limits left to this man. When the peloton turned towards the hills of the Ardennes, Pogacar sharpened his claws. At the Amstel Gold, he attacked early, recalibrated after being reeled in, and finished 2nd in a chaotic sprint, beaten only by inches. At Flèche-Wallonne, he looked untouchable, launching in the bad weather, trademark acceleration of the Mur and never looking back. At Liège-Bastogne-Liège, there was no hesitation. He attacked hard and early. Nobody could respond. He reclaimed the monument like it belonged to him, because in truth, it definitely does. Then came a brief break for him in the racing sense, training in altitude, getting ready for the mountains, and by the time he lined up for the Criterium du Dauphiné with a fairly weak climbing team by UAE standard, the picture was becoming clear. Pogačar wasn't just racing into form, he was already in form. He won the opening stage in a dramatic sprint, animated the race throughout, and showed a brief vulnerability in the time trial, losing time to Jonas Vingegaard and Remco Evenepoel. It wasn't weakness, it was probably the setup. In the mountains, he hit back drastically. On one stage, UAE set him up perfectly and he obliterated the rivals. On another, when isolated and outnumbered by Visma Lease bike, he decided he would attack solo 12 kilometers out and still cross the line first. In the final showdown with Vingegaard, he marked every move, stayed glued to his wheel, and sealed the overall victory, and letting the Dane pass him to get the second place. This was also Tadej Pogacar's first Criterium du Dauphiné title to his name. That matters because it wasn't just a win, it was a psychological warfare. Vingegaard came to test him. Instead, he left with answers he didn't want. Visma tried many tricks in the books, but Pogačar had the answers for all of them. And when we look back to the times Jonas Vingegaard has defeated Tadej Pogačar at the Tour de France in 2022 and 2023, there are maybe answers to why Tadej Pogačar wasn't the strongest on those times. In 2022, the Dane was surrounded by a very strong team that even included Primož Roglič, a leader in his own right, and they managed to isolate the Slovenian and team up against him. But now in 2025, he has a far stronger team than he had back then, with the likes of Almeida, Adam Yates, and Pavel Sivakov. Some of them could be GC leaders in their own right. Take Joao Almeida, for instance. He dominated most of the races he's been in 2025 and even beat Jonas Vingegaard to a stage win in Paris-Nice, and also sealed the double of winning the Tour de Romandie and the Tour de Suisse, which is quite impressive. Adam Yates, we know, is a formidable strong rider and has finished on the podium together with Tadej Pogačar in the past. And Pavel Sivakov really showed how strong he is as well. And the new boy of Jonathan Narvaez will be very good in the medium mountain stages. The second time he lost out to Jonas Vingegaard was in 2023, but that has the asterisk that he was coming in with not the ideal preparation after breaking his wrist in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and that taking time to heal. So Pogačar's 2025 has shown something we haven't seen before: restraint. The emotional all-in attacker of the past is now colder, smarter, and more calculated. He knows when to hold back, when to strike, and how to conserve his energy. He hasn't lost his flair, he's simply added maturity to it, and that team around him as well, with the likes of the heavier guys of Nils Pollitt, will really be strong for him as well. And the climbing force is absolutely second to none for the UAE Team Emirates. The route for 2025 only amplifies his advantage. This year's parcours plays to his strengths: explosive finishes, steep hills, tactical stages, where versatility and timing matter more than grinding wattage. And Pogačar could even be wearing the yellow jersey by the end of the first week, as there are plenty of stages with characteristics that suit him. Just look at Murder Britannia, where he finished second last time it was here. The early time trial won't define the race either, but the high mountains in the final week, plus he will want to avenge his weakness he showed to Vingegaard on the Hautacam and the Mont Ventoux, and both of these climbs are in the Tour de France this year. And in that terrain, with his form, with this fire, there is no one more dangerous right now, and having Almeida on his side will be lethal for the competition. Pogačar has already won the Tour de France 3 times. He's already proven himself on every kind of road, against every kind of rival, but this July he's not just defending a title, he's chasing more greatness, hoping to join Chris Froome with 4 titles and get ever closer to Mark Cavendish's stage winning record, and become the first world champion to win the Tour de France since Bernard Hinault, which would be absolutely impressive. Pogačar won't be defeated by shorter cranks, he won't be defeated by tactics. He has the team to answer any question thrown by his rivals, so Pogačar will for sure win this race unless something miraculous happens. Then I don't see him not taking the crown when we get to Paris. Because this isn't like a comeback story anymore, this is the reign of a king, restored, ruthless, and ready to write history once more. But with that, that's basically it for this video. But make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down below if you think Tadej Pogacar is on for winning this year's Tour de France. But as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.